Hello everyone, this is Turin here, and today guys we're here with some early access gameplay of the Norsca DLC. So in this multiplayer battle, it's going to be myself as well as the Inept General playing as Norsca and Icecrown, and we're going to be facing off against Bretonnia and the Wood Elves, who are going to be led by Surreal Beliefs as well as Lionheart. So guys, let's jump right into this game and take a look at some of the army compositions. So firstly and foremost, let's take a look at Big Daddy Throg. So Throg is going to be my leader this time, and he's got some pretty impressive stats, granted against Bretonnia as well as the Wood Elves with the Starfire Shafts and the Peasant Bows with Fire Arrows. Throg is definitely going to be a little bit of an endangered species, but nonetheless he does have that weakness of fire because he does regenerate. But still, he does have the Wintertooth Crown, which makes him unbreakable. On top of that, he does have Fight or Die, which is basically his kind of rallying ability. It gives leadership and melee attack, and he does have the Copious Vomit, which is quite fun. So Throg is definitely a beast. But for the front line, we do have a combination of Marauders and like standard Chaos Marauders, or I should say Norscan Marauders now, have the Berserk ability. So for those of you guys that haven't seen this, the longer they're in combat, so on increments of 45 seconds, they're going to get 8 leadership, and then they get an additional, I don't know if it gives them an additional 8 leadership or if it actually stacks the physical resistance on top, but nonetheless, we have a front line of Marauders mixed in with some Berserkers. So the Berserkers are obviously going to be very good against, Bretonnia and Wood Elves, who traditionally have very lightly armored infantry. And these Berserkers, this is the Regiment of Renown. So these guys are called the Brutes of the Hound, or the Brutes of Khorne. So basically, they're Khorne Berserkers in their early stages. They're unbreakable, they do have Frenzy, and they have really, really good offensive stats. Right now, they have 59 melee attack and 27 melee defense, which isn't terrible compared to a regular Berserker. So let's find one here. So you can see it's 48 and 18 here. So that's a pretty big difference. But nonetheless, in the front line, we have mostly Berserkers and Marauders. So pretty standard protocol there. In the back, we do have some of these nice, cute, fluffy Norscan Ice Wolves. And these guys are so good. We actually played, several battles, probably 6 or 7 battles over the course of the day. And these guys were just true MVPs in a bunch of battles because they have Frostbite and they're fast. So if you're able to catch enemy cav or a general out of position with these nice Ice Wolves and snare them down, you can do so much damage. It's pretty over the top. So in the back, we do have some Marauder Hunters kind of supporting on my side as well. And these guys are armor piercing, kind of throwing axe units. They're very, very good at kind of focusing down enemy lords like a King Lewin or a Durthu or anything like that. So, and of course, guys, what would a Norscan army be without Skin Wolves? So Skin Wolves are the armored anti-cav unit with a nice anti-large bonus. They do have a physical ward save of 20%, but they are weak to fire. So we learned the hard way this battle that the fire damage does some work. Over here, we do have the Maws of Savagery as well. So these guys are the Regiment of Renown, of the Skin Wolves, the armored variant. And this is probably my favorite, and I honestly think in my competitive, not my competitive opinion, but in terms of the competitive metagame, I think these guys are going to be MVPs because normal Skin Wolves don't have very good AP values. You can see they have a 39 compared to these ones, which have armor piercing value of 21. So it's a big difference. They have that, and obviously their stats are going to be better across the board. So that's pretty much it for my army. For the Inept General, he does have the Brutes of the Hound. He has this badass Norscan Hodor Giant over here. And for the front line, he has the same kind of composition. He has Marauders. I believe he did bring some other kind of fancy units on the back. So he does have Marauder Champions. So these guys are basically like Chaos Warriors with great weapons. They cost quite a bit. They do cost 1100, but still, it gives you a little bit more of a durable armored unit for the Norskins, which, still doesn't have a ton. He does also have Wulfric the Wanderer. So Ragnar Lothbrok and Tormund's Lovechild over here does have the, he has the Sword of Torgvald, which gives him, that's a really long duration, 2 minutes. So that's actually, I would probably consider bringing that. And this ability, which is very underrated, Seafang. So Seafang is basically like an AoE cone ability. It does a ton of damage down the line. It basically plays the exact same of Winds of Death. And of course, the Hunter of Champions. So, and in the back, he does have some Skin Wolves of his own. He has the Regiments of Renown. He has the Fluff Wolves. And he also does have this this bad boy over here. So this is a Skin Wolf Werekin. So look how freaking crazy he looks. This guy's got to be related to Grombrindle with that crazy looking eye. But this guy's great. He has armor piercing, he has anti-large. He's going to be a great kind of anti-lord tool for the Norskin. So no Mammoth this game, guys. But don't worry. In the rest of our replays, we have Mammoth. So this game, we wanted to try and do a little bit more of a, I guess I wouldn't call it a serious build because the Mammoths are monsters. You guys will definitely see them in action. So for the forces of the Wood Elves, and this battle's about to start actually, he has the Firebark Elders, who are so cool. So they actually mitigate fire damage in a pretty big aura radius. So situationally, they can be pretty neat, but on top of that, they have insane melee defense and are a very good durable unit, especially against the Norskins. Aside from that, he does have the Wardens of Sithrall. So these are an armor sundering Wildwood Ranger. So they have armor piercing, they have anti-large, and armor sundering. So these guys bring a lot of utility to the table. They also, when a unit is not, so when they're in the forest, they get charge defense, I guess. But let's see. So they got the Low-X Tricksters here. So these are the War Dancers with the Azurai Spears. They have this Low-X Shroud, which gives them speed and stock, which I like quite a bit. Big Papa Durthu mixed in with some Glade Guards over here. For Bretonnia, they have, I'm pretty sure he has Knights of the Lionheart back here. He has 2 groups of Knights Errants, Grail Knights, and then the Knights of the Lionheart. It would make sense that Lionheart would use these. But these guys are very cool. They're basically like juiced up Grail Knights. Nothing, terribly spectacular about them other than their stats are better and they're very strong. So And for the Bretonnia, it looks like they have a front line of men-at-arms with polearms, maybe expecting some trolls or monstrous units, and they do have the Beast Slayers of Bastion, who are a very cool regiment of renown here. So without further ado, guys, let's see how this battle goes. So right now, the Inept General and I are moving forward. You can see my army of Ice Crown is pushing forward first, and he's coming like up and around the flank. But man, we are just getting put down. So Norsca is very strong, but again, they do have a lot of lightly armored infantry who are weak to this type of play. So you can see I'm taking a ton of fire as, you know, not the Inept General, but Lionheart as well as Surreal Beliefs, anew, you know, to take advantage of this, to really get missiles to take out those lightly armored units. So my Berserkers and Marauders are charging in. They're going to be led by Big Daddy Throg in the front. And I was really cautious with him because he is very weak to fire and he doesn't have the best armor, so I had to pull him back a little bit. I was just being very conservative here. So you can see in the front, the Marauders are going to be pushing in. They're shaken. The Berserkers, with their low defensive stats and no shields, are basically just getting massacred. So very, very well played by our opponents. You can also see Big Daddy Durthu in here. But we do have the Brutes of the Hound, so they definitely should have been targeting these guys because the Brutes of the Hound, when they get into these Bretonians, are just going to do some serious work. So you can see some sort of an ability going down here. I'm not sure what that was, but it looks like it's going to be a nice, juicy Vortex ability. So you can see the Berserkers of Khorne with the Pit of Shades in the background are getting in, decapitating these Bretonians just savagely with their two-handed weapons. But the Bretonians, nonetheless, do have stand your ground, and they will be pretty durable, but still, this pocket is going to be very tough. So King Lewin does get a great land in the back and just massacres some of these Norskins right here, while their Pit of Shades is just tearing apart their friends back there. So Lewin definitely a pretty proud dude, doing some good work for himself. Big Daddy Durthu is coming into the back, and Throg, feeling a little bit safe now, is going to engage. You can also see these Marauder champions are going to get in here versus Durthu. So in the back, this is where the real action is going to happen. We have this big cav battle about to take place. You can see the Inept General's forces coming in, and Wulfric the Wanderer with a little bit of a delayed engagement. But these Marauders are going to perform pretty well against Wildwood Rangers, because Wildwood Rangers obviously would win one-on-one, but you know, situation, of course. I mean, they're very expensive compared to the cost. So you can see the Treekin getting in here, roasting these guys, and the Knights of the Lionhearted coming in hot and heavy, doing some massive damage to these guys. So a lot of action so far, guys. And on the far side, the Inept General and I kind of teamed up our mobile forces, our Maws of Savagery, and our Skin Wolves, and you can see they are feasting on these Knights Errants, and God, these units are so damn cool. This Norsca DLC has got to be my favorite so far. So the Skin Wolves here with their anti-large, and these Knights have no chance of getting away now that they're committed to the engagement. So guys, that's one thing I really have to say about Norsca, is when you're fighting them, you have to commit. You have to go all in with your cav, because if you don't, their Ice Wolves are going to drag you down. So you really need to make sure that you have ample forces, because these guys are frostbitten right now. You know, the Maw of Savagery, all these regiments of renown are just tearing apart these Knight Errants. Granted, they are an anti-infantry cav, but you know, there still are some Knights of the Realm over here who are taking a bit of damage. So against Bretonnia, guys, you're definitely going to want to bring the armored Skin Wolves, because you can see even these two Skin Wolves have been getting lanced from several angles, but nonetheless, they're holding out, doing a really good job. So the Skin Wolf engagement is definitely in our favor. However, in the front, the infantry battle is a little bit more tenuous over here. So we do have these Marauders fighting the good fight, you know, still taking quite a beating, and you can see my Deathcaster in here. So this is the Shaman. He's like the Marauder. Oh, look at that Sparta kick right to the dome. Would have been pretty cool if he actually decapitated him. But guys, the battle is very, very even. Both forces are taking some pretty heavy losses, and Throg has been taking, you know, quite a bit of damage from these fire arrows. So Throg was being chased by King Lewin as well as Big Papa Durthu, and you can see we have a King Kong versus Godzilla battle. So Hodor is fighting against Durthu. Definitely going to be a pretty good battle nonetheless, but Throg is having to run, and he's just getting peppered by these guys. So I engaged with Throg right here, and he was doing some, you know, good work fighting against those units, but until the fire arrows, you can see that Surreal Beliefs as well as Lionheart coordinated really well, and Throg is going to be fighting against Lewin, but he's just having to run, and he did use the Wintertooth crown, which makes him unbreakable. But guys, it is looking pretty grim for old Daddy Throg. But Wulfric, on the other hand, has just been massacring in the front line. You can see the Wanderer is just decapitating these War Dancers. He's got this big arcing swing coming in, doing some massive damage, and let's see how many kills. He has 18 kills. He's more of a duelist, but regardless, with Seafang, he's going to do some work. So Wulfric, definitely going to be one of the MVPs this battle, and look at him just posing, just this epic power stance, just straight out of an 80s metal video. But nonetheless, doing very, very well for us, taking out these regiments of renown, these War Dancers, and you can see the Norscan forces of the Inept General doing very, very good for us over here. And also, Hodor is putting up a good fight. But Lionheart as well as Surreal have been doing an excellent job with their missile play. They've just been focusing us down and just doing tons of work. But the Inept General does come in and pop his Hunter of Champions. Negative 60 melee defense, lowers his armor and his speed. So definitely taking advantage. Granted, Wulfric would probably, you know, he would absolutely lose to Durthu in a head-up fight. But you can see he's kind of pinning him down, allowing our Marauder Hunters to kind of throw at him and doing a ton of work. So definitely some good, good value. Whereas, in this battle, I do get a Spirit Leech. So you can see I cast a Spirit Leech with my Death Shaman from the far side. And at that same note, I do have my my Maw of Savagery and my Skin Wolves coming in to help. So we were able to kind of circumvent their flank, win that cav battle, and you can see we both got into this back line here. And these missiles are definitely not long for this Earth, or the Warhammer universe, or whatever you want to say, against all of these angry wolves over here. So they're just tearing into these guys, and they're going to be quickly pushing over to Durthu, who is not going to last long versus the anti-large. And the Maw of Savagery is quite strong versus large units. They have anti-large and armor piercing, so they pretty much have all the tools they need to deal with Papa Durthu. So off that. And down goes Dirthu to the Skin Wolf. So they're feasting. They're pretty happy. I mean, I guess they're not really going to eat him because he's bark and stuff. But still, nonetheless, they're going to be pushing back right now. And you can see the balance of power is starting to tip in our favor just barely. You can see Wulfric the Wanderer coming back here to assassinate this Spellsinger. And Wulfric actually has a bunch of mount options, guys, which you'll see in some of the later replays. He can be put on an elephant. He can be on a chariot. So if you're playing against dwarves, you can, I mean, the mammoth, even though it seems like a big target, guys, it still is really strong. Like, it shines. It's a beast. But you can see the battle is far from over. We do have the King Lewin back here, but he has been kind of surrounded by some of these Skin Wolves. Now, the Skin Wolves are very fast. Unfortunately, we don't have any of them. Just look at the throwing axes from the Marauder Hunters just sticking in King Lewin's back and like all over his bird here. So you can see the Norscan hordes are pushing through. We did take some serious casualties from those arrows though on the far side. So I think like there's something to be said about like how good the arrows are going to be against Norsca. Like, if you try and like trade just infantry and brute force with like the mammoths and everything and the Skin Wolves, you're probably going to lose. But you know, if you really poke them down with missiles and all that other good stuff, it's going to be very tough. But at this point, you can see Lewin is being kind of dragged down by the Skin Wolves over here of the Ice Crown army. And you can also see my Shaman is chasing him off pretty efficiently, and it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. So very, very well played to everyone. That was a super good battle. And guys, this is one of many. There's going to be quite a few. So stay tuned for the next games. And man, Throg just got dumpstered, and it says 0 kills here just because it's a modded version of the game. So unfortunately, I can't give you guys like a really in-depth breakdown of everything. But nonetheless, it was super fun, guys. And I have to say, Norsca is an incredibly powerful faction. They're very good. They have good lords. Granted, Throg is really good. You guys didn't get a chance to see him in action because, Lionheart as well as Surreal were just insanely like pinpoint focusing with the fire arrows, which is exactly what you should do. They definitely outplayed us, I would say, in that respect. And I would say that Surreal, like in the front line and with his missile play, like tore apart my Berserkers. The one spot that they both really faltered was their Knight Errants, as well as the the Knights of the Lionhearted and all those guys. Like, they really got crumbled by the Skin Wolf flank, and from there we were able to kind of really impose our will. But nonetheless, it was a super good battle. And guys, stay tuned for the next few games. So thanks again for watching, and we got more content coming soon.